All right, so with Labor Day coming up next week, what should you consider when choosing paint for inside? So we asked interior designer Sainte-Marie Stephenson to help us out with this one. Good morning. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Where I start, I showed you a couple colors of the inside of my house.
Yes.
Them match me?
Well, as I was saying to you, they do because you have a very colorful personality. You're very bubbly and warm. And the colors you showed me were warm colors. So, you know, it all depends the environment that you're going into. There are people that have personalities that are going into them. So is the environment suitable to them? Is the environment suitable to someone else? So
did I do that unconsciously? Because I never remember going into the thing and say, well, my personality is this color, so can I just like the colors and I said, this is what I wanted. Is
remember,
that?
it's your space, you know, so you want to feel happy in it. And certain colors do certain things. So those warm colors, they actually evoke positive energies, you know, and excitement.
All right, so where we start. So if I want to paint my house, have a living room, two-room bathroom, where I start, what I think about when I
Well, the first thing, of course, you want to get an idea as to what color you want to use, right? So there are many options of ways to go about this. I mean, you can go to your nearest paint store or your hardware store. You have the options of going online now. There are color selections there. There are apps you can download. And then, you know, you would try to choose a color based on knowing what you have at home. And then you can bring some of those samples. So each paint store or hardware store that has a paint station in it, they tend to give you some swatches that you can take home for free. And the nice thing about that is that they give you ranges sometimes. So they'll show you colors that work together. So for example, in this one, this is Clark and Kensington, available at Hypro.
So I want to hold it so the camera can see. So these will be the colors that...
Right, so these are colors that complement each other. So they help you out in doing the job.
But as an interior designer, I call you, I say, Sainte-Marie, come to my house and tell me what I must do.
Right.
Where you start? What would you do now?
Well, I would walk through your space. I see the pieces that you have. I see the character of the space as well. Because
what does that mean?
Character meaning, is it modern? Is it traditional? Because if you have traditional finishes, like say, for example, intricate moldings, you're not going to use like bright, bold colors. Because traditional colors have a certain standard. They're kind of muted, natural and earthy tones. So I'd come in there and see what it is all about, what the character is, and then based on that, as well as the finishes, so your wood tones, your curtains, you know, so like this here, for example, this shows I had done a space and, you know...
Just hold it so they can, yeah, yeah.
I had done a space, but, you know, we had been selecting new fabrics for the furnishings. So obviously you don't want to just look at one item alone, you have to look at the whole.
Yeah.
So all these little elements will tie together with the paint colors. So I just put it together very quickly so that I could walk around in the space and actually look at them against the pieces.
Yep. All right. So obviously I'm a man and I live by myself, but I don't want this heavy masculine look in my apartment. I don't want a feminine look either, but I don't want this.
Right.
Does that help?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you can choose to go with dark colors, you can choose to go with light colors, but certain colors have, as I said, they give like off a feeling, an emotion, as well as they can make a space feel smaller or bigger.
All right, so we have some headlines. You mentioned a couple. Color affects the perception of space.
It does.
You mentioned that.
Right.
Color affects human behavior. That me not understand.
So as we said, you're a bubbly and bright person.
That is why, right?
Bright colors evoke excitement, right? And action, whereas dull colors evoke
What is that dull color?
So like a gray, muted color, like a gray or a beige, you know, off-white.
Yeah.
So those bring a sense of calm, whereas bright, light colors bring a sense of
This one
excitement.
mashed me up now. Color can give a perception of temperature.
Yes.
Which means what, please?
It's the same thing. So,
Whether it's hot or cold?
Yeah, because you have color association. So again, the yellow that we have here on studio, yellow is representative of the sun. So when someone walks in a space with those warm colors, they feel warm. And then you walk into a space with gray walls, you actually feel cooler. But the truth is the temperature hasn't changed. It's just the environment has changed in terms of the colors
Marie,
that they relate to. No, it's
like,
very true.
But that's not like he's a doctor. So the temperature is 50 degrees. But if I walk in, depending on the color, I'm going to feel...
Yes. It's a psychological impact, but you're going to feel warmer in warmer colors. and maybe even cozier. And then cool colors, you're really going to feel cool. So,
This color is what? Because
these are warm, bright colors, yeah.
you couldn't tell one of my presenters that because she always kind of cold still. So I guess might have something in the air condition. When you say consider the use of space, we already said colors affect the perception of space. But when you say consider the use of space, what does that mean?
Is it going to be a room with a lot of traffic and a lot of activity? Is it going to be a room with children? Is it going to be a room with adults? So is it going to be a gym? Is it an office? Is it a bedroom?
What does that have to do with which color I like?
No, man, it matters because, as I said, colors can evoke a feeling.
Right? I can understand when you say kids because you don't want to put light colors and little picture them because they want to put them hand on the wall. I can understand that. But outside of the kids part, don't color, no, those color.
No, because, if you're going to wake up in the morning and look at a bright yellow wall facing you, it's going to be jarring to you, and it might stress you out. Whereas if you're looking at a calm wall, which is like a muted tone, a gray, it's going to bring you that sense of peace. So in a bedroom, you want to consider colors that help you with resting. Whereas if you're in a family room, activity, things going on, entertainment, you can try the brighter colors.
That's amazing. I'm not certain if you said it, but I know people would say that sometimes the space even looks smaller and bigger depending on the color.
Right. So dark colors do make a room feel smaller. And lighter colors do open them up. So if you do have a tiny room that you're trying to do some work in and set it up, it would be advisable if you want to make it bigger to use lighter colors because then it will expand
mind
the
over
space.
matter is the same
but
size.
It's a real psychological impact with color and the mind, honestly.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Look at what we are looking at there now. Tell me about the top one.
Okay, so this is a perfect example of, where you're using warm colors to start off with. So the top image there. Warm colors, what they actually do with the perception of space, they seem closer than they are. So this is why I did the contrast here to show the two different ways in which the colors affect the space.
Yeah.
So if you notice, the fireplace looks bigger, right? Everything in the picture looks closer to the screen.
I mean, it looks bigger. It's not bigger. It's the same size.
It's the same size. But if you look in the bottom image now, there's a gray tone, so that's a cool color.
Yeah, but that's how they took the picture. But that's how
not only that. It is also having to do with the color change. So warm colors advance in space, so the objects seem closer than they are, and cool colors recede in space, so objects seem further away than they are.
It sounds like me have to get a PhD just to paint my house. No, seriously. Which one would suit me?
You're very bright and bubbly, so I think you'd love the upper color, the yellow.
I like the two of them, and for some strange reason...
But if you were talking about you want something as manly, but not so, the gray would work.
Could you show that, put up the two again, Footy, please? I was going to say that. I love the top one, and the top color is one of the colors I showed you about in my place. But if I had to pick something now, I probably would pick the gray.
And it's a neutral. So that's another thing. With neutral colors, you don't have to change them so much over time. But with the bright colors, you do. And then painting them over is even more difficult because then you have to add more than one layer of paint if you're not using a primer. If you are using a primer, you just want coat a primer and then the new paint.
So this is much more than just going to a store and say, I want a yellow and a blue.
Yeah,
this
you really need to understand.
Where my seats are and...
Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's various sheens as well, from flat to semi-gloss to gloss.
Which one is better for inside? Because the grey looked like it was sheen.
It was like a flat.
Yeah.
So you have like eggshell, which is good for, interior walls or flat. It's just that the less sheen is the less durable. The greater the sheen, the more durable. So high traffic areas, you're going to use those oil paints. Yeah. So cabinets and doors, because they get hands touching them all the time. Easy to wipe off.
So like why I'm madly in love. What color must
Red. Red represents love.
Wow, you know your stuff. I'm very impressed. Very, very impressed.
Thank you.
She have a PhD in interior design. I'm serious. I feel like I have to go to university just to paint my bathroom. I don't know why.
That's why it's good to consult an interior designer.
Huh?
That's why it's always good to consult an interior designer.
I just did. Interior designer, Sainte-Marie Stephenson. All right, so here's the next thing now. Is track and field better off without? You're saying both? Some people say yeah. Well, the president of World Athletics says yes. We kind of disagree, but we'll soon come back. Stay with us, please.